Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Roxy Nicole TV.
See money all around me. I look like I'm the man. Yeah, but I was down and out like last week. Tell me where have you been? Yeah, I'm out of hiding, girl. Don't act like I'm your man.
Hey you guys, welcome back. So today I am greasing my scalp with some of my homemade hair crack, and oh my god, it has been a hassle. I shampooed my hair last night. I let it air dry with some of these rollers just so it wouldn't tangle up. I am all natural. However, early parts of the winter I started silk pressing my hair, and with me silk pressing my hair, my curl pattern is completely gone. So I'm trying to not put heat on it. However, heat is the only thing that looks right as of right now with my hair. So I already have greased this side of my hair with my hair crack. I dropped the oil on my leg. It's okay. I just got out of the refrigerator, so it's kind of defrosting. Well, warming up. It's heating up. But anyways, I just oiled this side of my scalp. I'm oiling this side. And my hair has really grown. However, I have a real bad shedding problem. So I'm really thinking that it's the damage that happened to my hair during the straightening process. But I'm gonna straighten it again today because I know y'all are tired of seeing me with that bonnet. So we're just gonna grease my scalp. But I wanted to come to y'all and really talk to y'all about therapy. I love therapy. I feel like therapy is definitely an outlet, an avenue to help you become better, to help you find yourself. It's a avenue to be the third eye that you can't necessarily be for yourself in a current season of your life. And so I wanted to come and talk to you about therapy. I think therapy is very crucial. I think it's something that more people of color should do. I do know that we have a horrible curse on our culture that thinks and feel that you shouldn't put other people or races in your business. But to me, I feel like that is a lie and scheme of the enemy. Y'all, I am graying. I am. However, I think it's a lying scheme of the enemy, because once you have been in therapy for so long, you start feeling better, your mind is clear, and you learn healthier, positive ways to think about yourself. You can quiet that little voice in the back of your mind that is fueling your low self-esteem, that, you know, whispers those, they're not sweet nothings, but they're definitely not enough mentality. It can definitely help you with whatever issues that you may be having. But I go to marriage counseling with my wife, as well as I go to my own personal therapist. And one thing that our marriage counselor has been bringing up to us the most is learning how to fight fair. And that could mean so many things to so many different couples, but what it definitely means to us is I statements. When you're single and you're dating and things like that, I statements is is healthy when you're single, because you're not trying to sound accusatory and things like that. However, in a marriage, you give up your I for we. And so that's one thing that we're really working on, because my wife and myself, we were single for a very long time. Yes, we talked to people. We had, you know, little situationships, but as far as relationships, we've been single for a while. And so a little bit of that is selfishness that we kind of, I need a clip, but a little bit of that selfishness that we developed along our journey of being single, that survival, you know, mentality of just having to worry about yourself. And so, you know, my wife was single off and on for almost like 4 or 5 years. And I was single for 3 years. And so you take all of that and you get married quickly. It's hard to convert that mentality to think about someone else so quickly. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that we don't love each other. We love each other a lot. But one of our biggest issues is giving up an I for a we. Okay, so my therapist, our marriage counselor had been just talking about fighting fair. So I brought this up to my personal therapist after like 2 weeks of us talking about it, right? So I brought it up to my personal therapist because I'm like, one thing that's really sticking out, you know, is her continuously talking about us fighting fair and us developing healthy relationship habits. And so my therapist was just like, well, give me an example of what she mean about fighting fair. And I was just like, basically, every time we're kind of like in an argument and we bring it to her, she always be like, you guys really have a problem with fighting fair. And I don't know what she means. She keeps saying it, but it's like screaming out at me. I don't necessarily understand or know how to fix that for myself in my marriage. And so one of the things that she said was making I statements. When you get married, you have to not only think of yourself, but you have to think of the other person. I know that sounds simple, but it's even in the smaller things, like my paycheck, for instance. Once our bills are paid, my funds going to Shein, going to the latest handbag, going to dinner with my homegirls. You understand what I'm saying? Not really considering my household. Selfish in a marriage. That is selfish, because you have to give up an I for a we. My wife, her biggest thing was buying things for our businesses and not necessarily using the things that she buy, but she, oh well, we can use this later. Always a hypothetical. So together we make a decent amount of money, but we were being inconsiderate to one another. It's just one thing of not fighting fair, is being inconsiderate, always thinking of yourself first. That's just an example. But the second thing is being considerate of the other, even what you're thinking. Understanding that when you cook you something to eat and you know that your spouse haven't ate, fix them something to eat. Well, we don't have that problem, but that's just an example. Or when you go and buy all these shoes, not thinking about the financial goals that you have in your marriage. These are just petty little things that I'm bringing up, not necessary to say that these are the issues that we necessarily had, but just to offer examples. And another thing was operating in the old ways in how you want to survive. So what that means, you don't have to think of anyone else. When you wanted to do something, you did it. If you wanted to go out with your friends, if you wanted to eat, you know, McDonald's every week, you could. You didn't necessarily have to think about a household. So that's survival mentality. For instance, girl, you right now can go to Neiman's and buy you $1,400 worth of clothes. But when you're married, you have to talk over that $1,400 purchase with your mate before you do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that y'all can't afford it or anything like that. It just means that you're being considerate of your spouse. And I was listening to Shay and Cherise earlier this week, and they were having a kitchen conversation about Cherise's sister possibly calling and asking for money. And Shay was just talking about, you know, you got to be mindful of those people who try to make you feel guilty for having to consult your spouse for financial, you know what I'm saying, for financial situations. Because when you're married, it's no longer just me personally lending you $500. No, these are financial decisions that will affect our home deposit if we're buying a house, if we need a new car, any amount of money, no matter if it's $500, $100, $10, it still affects a household with not just myself, with us in general. And I just thought that was a really good conversation. And it had been something that, you know, started a lot of arguments in our marriage, just being financially, how we handle things differently. Not only that, just, you know, healthy relationship habits is also included in fighting fair. Like, are you a person that knows how to forgive? Are you a person that, you know, harbor over everything? Are you a nitpicker? Do you nitpick everything? Why you put that right there? Why you put the spoon on top of your cup like that? Healthy relationship habits have to be adjusted when you want a long, loving, happy relationship, healthy relationship habits. So another thing is dating with intention, you guys.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly, look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it, don't wanna hear it.
My wife likes shooting pool, so on our next date night, I probably should surprise her with like a pool hall date, or surprise her with hiking or running, whatever that she loves, being considerate. And this is just not for me, this is for us as a couple. Be intentional with loving one another, because let me tell you, when you first started dating, one thing that you did with intention was show a person that you're interested. And when you've been together for so long, especially new relationships that started right before the pandemic, you have, I'm telling you, you may be new in number, but I'm telling you, the pandemic aged your relationship, because number one, you couldn't really go anywhere, you couldn't really continuously date, so you have to get back in the swing of things, and you have to just date each other with intention. It's important to understand your spouse's perspective and experiences. So both of you could go through something extremely traumatic, right? Traumatic, whatever that may be. And my perspective could be, well, if we wasn't there, if I would have followed my first mind, you know, it would have never happened, and I'm able to move on from it. But my spouse is like having dreams about it, you know, upset, crying. I shouldn't dumb down her experience just because she's a little bit more sensitive. It's important to be vulnerable with your spouse, is not necessarily just crying. I mean, being able to tell your spouse, babe, you get on my nerve. Some of us, you get on my goddamn nerve. And they'll not take it offense. But if you're going to be able to say that they're getting on your nerve, how are they getting on your nerve? What are some spaces? What are some things? What are some needs that you have that you would like for them to exercise. Being able to be vulnerable enough to speak your truth. Everything that a person does in the beginning was very cute, but now not so much. Not so much. I hate that you wash them clothes and leave them in that basket for 3 days. I hate that. And so versus me complaining, I'm going to tell you about it and I'm going to fold them. But the next time you wash, would you mind folding them, going ahead and folding them up and putting them up? That's how you know, stop resentment. That's how you stop arguments that you claim are about one thing, but you're really mad that they left them clothes in their basket. Petty things that turn into huge arguments for no reason. And so these are just some examples of how you can really overcome toxic behaviors inside of your marriage or inside of your relationship. These are some examples of things that people do to not necessarily fight fair in their marriage. And also another thing, just to clear up what fighting fair is putting your spouse in the predicament to not be able to make a choice. You're taking their choice. And so all arguments or all issues in relationships doesn't center around cheating. There's other deeper issues that people get divorced for, like finances, perspective. Girl, don't nobody want to be with you if you arguing 24/7. You got an attitude 24/8. You got an attitude about something. You're overly aggressive. And just because she the stud doesn't mean that she's happy-go-lucky. She could be overly fucking aggressive. I could be the femme and overly aggressive, nagging. Either one of us, because we're both women. Nobody don't want to be with someone who's nagging and complaining all the time. So definitely fighting fair. And the next video I'm going to do is learning how to forgive and get over disappointment. That's something else that will be in my next therapy session and I can come and talk to y'all about. It's learning how to forgive and getting over disappointment, because that's something definitely that I have an issue with. But this is just, you know, a few topics that I'm kind of gonna make a series out of. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. Maybe y'all can help me with that in the comments below. But ooh, I almost lost y'all. I'm about to blow dry my hair so it can become straighter, and then I'm going to flat iron it, and I'm gonna finish oiling this side of my scalp. And I think I'm just gonna end the video here. Drop some comments in the comments below about what we can call this series. Should it be like Therapist Corner, Relationship 101? I don't want to be like a guru in these areas, because obviously I have issues in these areas and I'm going to therapy for these things. So I'm not a guru, but definitely I want to start bringing some of my therapy sessions to my YouTube channel, because if they're helping me, maybe they can help some other people. I don't know, you guys. I would love your feedback in the comments down below. But hopefully in the next video I won't be looking like a chicken head. So if nobody told you today that they love you, know that I love you and God loves you. Bye.